Kakadosh Boker Tov, Masechet Yoma Daf Amud Aleph. We are 85A1. Okay, so it says over here like this. We were just speaking about when Shmuel said, Kitman Shmuel, when Shmuel said these words, he was talking about the Reisha, which means when we said that you're allowed to take out, right, your mefachim et gal b'Shabbat, you're allowed to start removing from the rubble on Shabbat in order to see if somebody was buried underneath or not. We're talking about imrov kutim. If you're going to tell me that the majority of the people are goyim, so then this child is going to be a kuti. Amar Shmuel says, but to do it pikuach nefesh, even if the majority of people are kutim, we have a safek Yisrael, and therefore we're going to be mechalel et Shabbat in order to save him, because the pikuach nefesh, we do not go after the majority. That means to do it pikuach nefesh, I don't know what it is. Is it a Jew or is it a goy? Since I don't know whether it's a Jew or a goy, right? So therefore we're going to actually try to save the person. Okay, so says the Gemara, imrov kutim kukuti lema'il chata. So then 1 second, why did the Mishnah say if the majority of the people are goyim? So then it's like a goy. To do with what? With what halakha? With regards to what? So Rav Papa says, la'achilo nevelot. That basically it's permitted to give him nevelot. What does that mean? We know that what's going to happen is that you're allowed to give a nevelah to a goy, right? You're not allowed to give it to a Jew. So therefore, if the fact that the majority of people, right? No. Not only that, I want to give. And why am I going to give him? Why am I going to give him kosher food, which costs 3 times the amount? I'm allowed to give him non-kosher food. So therefore, by a goy, if I'm going to say that the majority goyim, so I'm going to judge him like a goy, so I could give him a nevelah. But if you're going to tell me, right, that he's like a Jew, so I'm not allowed to give him nevelah. Maybe he's a Jew, but I go after the majority. So because I go after the majority, I'm allowed to give him nevelot. So says the Gemara, Imrov Yisrael Yisrael Ma'ilchata. So what does it mean then when I say if the majority of people are Jews, so he's like a Jew? L'ma'ilchata with regards to what? Lachzilu avedatot, to do asarat aveh, hashavat avedah. We know that for a goy, you're not obligated to do hashavat avedah. Many times we do hashavat avedah just because of kiddush Hashem, but it's not an obligation. By a Jew, you're obligated to do hashavat avedah. So the fact that I say if the majority of people are Yisrael, you're obligated to come and to do hashavat avedah. Okay, mechza al mechza. What does it mean when it's going to be half on half, meaning half goyim and half Yisraelim? It's like a Yisrael. Lemai hilchata, with respect to which halacha exactly. So says the Gemara, Amar Shakish says that Shakish, lenezikin. With regards to nezikin, nezikin means, right, any types of damages, which means just like we said that if you have a short of a Jew that comes and gores a short of a kuti, he's exempt from paying, right? And short kuti that he's going to come and he's going to gore of a short of Israel, he's going to be chayav nezek shalem, whether it's a tam or it's a muad. But short shel Israel, which is going to be gore another shore, so it's going to pay chetzi nezek if it's a tam, and nezek shalem with its muad. So ask the Gemara, hechi dami, right? What's the case exactly? If it's going to be that our shore gores his shore, right? Now remember, this child shore was gored by a Jew shore. Now we don't know what was the child. Was he Jewish or not Jewish? So so just tell, right, that let him bring a proof, right? And according to that, he's going to pay or not. Remember, there's a general rule to do with money matters. Means it's incumbent upon you to bring the proof. Okay, so therefore, right, for example, somebody comes and he says, you damaged my property. I didn't damage your property. You bring the proof. Yeah, you want me to pay? Bring the proof. Right? You cannot, it's not incumbent upon me to prove that I am innocent. You have to prove that I am guilty. You understand? So therefore, you come, you say, so bring me a proof. So the same thing, yes, so therefore the same thing, what happens is that if right now we gored his ox, so now we have a doubt, right, whether it's going to be a Jewish ox or a non-Jewish ox. So therefore what happens is that if we have a doubt, so therefore what's going to happen is it's going to be patur min l'shalem. So if it's going to be patur min l'shalem, and only if he's a Jew, then I'm going to be obligated to pay. So therefore, bring me a raya that you're Jewish, and then I'm going to pay you. That's the common rule. So it says the Gemara, no. His ox gored our ox. Now, a short of a tam, right, of the tinok, which comes and gores our ox, and now he comes and he wants, right, nezek shalem, right, just like a short of a goy that gores our ox. And he comes and he says, Why nezek shalem? I'm a Jew. I should only pay chetzi nezek. So palga yayivle, he has to give him half. Ve'idach palga, but the other half, neimale, he could bring he could say the opposite way now. He could say, Aiti raya de la Yisrael ana ushkol. Bring me a proof that I'm not Jewish, and then you take the other half. You understand? That means here the opposite way. Here, what happens is one more time. If it was a Jew, right, that he's going to gore, right, the other Jew, and since we're talking about chetzi, it's a tam, so he only pays chetzi nezek. If it was a goy that gored the Jew's property, he has to pay nezek shalem, the full nezek, the full damages. So the question is, right? 1 second. Right now, this child, we have a doubt whether it was Jewish or not Jewish. His ox gored our ox. So now, half for sure he has to pay, right? Because even if it was Jewish, he pays half. But what about the other half? So for the other half, the child could come and say, "You bring a proof that I'm not Jewish, and then I'll give you the other half." You understand?
Why Jewish is half?
So we're on the 2 dots where it says Misha nafal lav mapolet, right? If all of a sudden it fell onto the person a mapolet. Remember, we're talking about that all of a sudden a pile of rubble or a building collapsed upon them. Okay, so Misha nafal lav mapolet, and we have a safek, whether the person was there or was not there. If he was alive or not alive. If it was a kuti or there was a Yisrael. So mefachim alav etaglav, we're going to try to save them. My ka'amar, what does this mean to say? So says the Gemara, lo mi baya kama. What does that mean? Lo mi baya safek usham safek usham. Even if it's going to be that we have a doubt whether he's there or he's not there, the ita, but if he's going to be there, chayhu, right? That for sure he's going to be alive. That means it's lo mi baya. That means you don't even have to say it, which means I had a doubt whether anybody was in the building or not. Maybe nobody was in the building. Understand? Maybe nobody was in the building. So therefore, the fact that we don't know, that's already one safek, but you still do it, just in case there was somebody in the building. Now you're going to say 1 second, but if somebody was in the building, for sure they're probably alive. Say, no, even if I have a safek whether they're alive or they're dead, we're still going to do it. And not only in that case, of safek chai safek met, the Israel, that we're talking about a Israel, right? Even if I have a doubt whether it's a Jew or it's not a Jew, also we're going to do it. So therefore, even if we have a doubt, who is it, whether the person is Jewish or not Jewish, we would still do it. So then it says, so we already said that if they already continued doing it and they found that the guy was alive, so they continued taking apart the rubble. If they found him alive, obviously. So what? They're not going to do it, obviously. Right? Which means that even if it's going to be that even for sure if the guy's going to die, meaning they went and they assessed him on the spot, the guy's going to die in a few hours. But still, he could live for a few more hours, they still take him out. Right? Why? Because even a few hours is important of life, they take it apart. They met, and if he died though, they just leave him there. Hanamim shit, obviously, because if he's already dead, why are they going to continue taking it out? He already died. So this is talking about for Rabbi Yudah ben Lakish. Titania was learned to the Braita. And matzilin etamem mipnei adeleka. We're not going to save a met because of a fire. That means imagine right now there's a fire and there's a dead person in the area. You're not allowed to take out the dead person. You have to leave him there. But since the dead person is mukse, you have to leave him there in the fire. Amar Rabbi Yudah ben Lakish, says Rabbi Yudah ben Lakish, shamati shematzilin etamem mipnei adeleka. We heard that you do it. That means you are going to save him because of the leka. Okay? So therefore I would say, right, that just like Rabbi Yudah ben Lakish is going to be matir, he's going to permit that salat tamed because of the lekan Shabbat. So too he's going to be matir to be mfakeach etagal. Afilu Rabbi Yudah ben Lakish, and even Rabbi Yudah ben Lakish will come at el mitoch shadam bahul el meto. Only because, that means why did Rabbi Yudah ben Lakish permit it? Only because the person is going to be bahul al meto, which means the person is very worried about their deceased, and therefore if you didn't permit him to take him out, he would actually turn off the fire. Meaning a person is so worried about their deceased that if you don't permit them to take the deceased out of the building, they would turn off the fire. They would be over on the Yisur Doraita just to turn it off. But here, if you didn't permit him, what is he going to do then? Yeah, what's he going to do? Okay. So Tanu Rabbanan, right? We learn in a Braita. Until when are you going to check, right, in the body to check if he's alive or dead? Ad chotmo, until the nostrils. Meaning if he's not going to be breathing, For sure he's dead. Yes. Yeah? Until the nose. Some people say, no, until the heart. Right? But that's what that means to say if the heart is pounding away, right? Right? Now, if you have a few people, badaku matzah elyonim metim, lo yomar shekvar metu. That means what happens if you checked and the top ones are dead? Don't say because of that, stam, the bottom ones died. That means you could have that the top ones are dead and the bottom ones are still alive. Yeah? So therefore you have to continue going, which is, I think, incredible yesod. Because here they said, nah, the second the top ones are dead, the bottom ones are also dead. No, give it up, you continue going. Because it could be that the top ones are dead and the bottom ones were alive. Masechet Yoma, there was a story, right? There was Naflama Polit, and Matsu Elyonim Metim Tachtonim Chaim. They found that the top ones were dead and the bottom ones were alive. So Neima Hani Tanai Kani Tanai. Are we going to say that these Tanaim, right, are going to be the same like the other Tanaim? The Tanaim was learned in a Braita. Mehechad Avla Notzad, from where is a child born? Merosho. That means it starts from the head. Shenemad, that means the fetus starts growing from its head. Shenemad, gozi, right? That means you're going to take me from from the stomach of my mother, right? You're going to take me out. And it says gozi nizrech vashlichi, which means you have to take off the hair from the head, right? Then you're going to throw it off. So you see from the word gozi, it's talking about the rosh, the head. Abba Shaul says mitiburo, from the belly button. And then it continues growing from there, right? But that's where it actually, anyway, it's attached to the belly button. Right? Remember that. Where is it attached? It's attached. That's why when they take out the cord, right, they have to cut it and everything. That's because the cord, that's what's giving him the life, is through the belly button. So afilu tema Abba Shaul, if you're gonna tell me it's Abba Shaul that he says that it's until the nose. That's the Yitzhak, because everything usually starts from the middle. But according to pikuach, about concept of pikuach nefesh, even Abba Shaul is going to be moted that the ikar hachiyut of the adam is to do with the breathing of his nose. Right? Which means that that's where we have the ruach chaim. The ruach chaim is in the nose, that a person could breathe. So Amar of Papa says machloket is milamata lemala. What does that mean? The machloket is if you're checking until the heart or the nose, is if you're checking from the bottom of the body towards the head, meaning that you found him by his feet. So then you continue going, right? So according to the Yeshomrim, you check until the heart, and if the heart's not beating away, that's it, right? But according to the Kama, you continue going until the nose. Aval milamala lemata, but if you found him from head downwards, Kevan de badakle, right? Ad chotmo. Once you checked until the nose and you found that he's not breathing, shuven otzarich, then you don't need to check anymore. Dichtiv kol Hashem nishmat urachaim be'apav, right? That he has it. That means basically it all depends how you found it, from the head to toe or toe to head. If you found him from toe to head, there was machloket. You check until, right? Do you check until the heart or until the nose? According to the other shita, you're checking you found him from the head. Do you check until the nose or do you continue going until the heart or not? Rabbi Ishmael, it already happened once that you had Rabbi Ishmael, Rabbi Akiva, Rabbi Elazar and Azariah, that they were going on the path. Levi Asadar, right? Levi Asadar. Okay. That it says Rabbi Ishmael ben Or Rabbi Elazar ben Azariah, and he was going behind them. And they asked this question right beforehand. Okay, how do you know that pikuach nefesh is going to push off the Shabbat? So Na'ana Rabbi Ishmael Rabbi Ishmael says, if they found the thief in the machteret, in the path behind the house, and then they went and they hit him, right? So he said that if he dies, he doesn't have to pay anything. Just like this ganav, it's a safek al mamum, safek nefeshot. This ganav, I don't know why he came. This ganav was trying to break into the house. I don't know if he tried to break into the house because of money or because he wanted to kill someone, right? So it says, so shvichut damim of the ganav, that the Torah is coming and saying, do you know that even this, which was permitted, meaning here the balabait was permitted to kill the ganav. It's a permission, right? There's no damim, there's nothing, he's permitted to do it. Still, this shvichut damim is mitameh et haaretz. It still has a negative effect on the land. It impurifies the land. גורם לשכינה שתסתלק מישראל, it causes the שכינה to be removed from ישראל, וניתן להצילו, yeah, and he says בנפשו, which means that because of the ספק פיקוח נפש of the בעל הבית, it's going to be דוחה דאבון חמור of שפיכות דמים. That means here the בעל הבית has a permission because it's ספק פיקוח נפש. Maybe they're going to kill him. So he's got a permission. He's allowed to kill the ganav. Kal v'chomer pikuach nefesh. So one second. So then kal v'chomer the pikuach nefesh is going to be for dochet Shabbat, which is not the same as shfichut damim. And shfichut damim is worse than Shabbat. So if shfichut damim is worse than Shabbat, and here the balabait is permitted to kill in order to save his own life because it's safek pikuach nefesh. Kal v'chomer that it's going to be rosh Shabbat. That was a shita of Rabbi Yishmael. Na'ana Rabbi Akiva Amar. Rabbi Akiva came and he said, right? Right? What does that mean? Right? Even if the Rotzeach is a Kohen and he comes to do the Avodah, we're not going to let him to do the Avodah. Why? Because from the Mizbeach you have to come and you have to take him away. Mizbechi velo me'al Mizbechi. Only, right, when you start to do the service. But if you're already in the middle of the service, we let him finish the service and then we take him. Yeah, we let him finish the service and then we come and we take him. Ve'amar Rabba bar Yochanan Rabbi Yochanan, says Rabbi Yochanan, Lo shanu ela lamit. This is talking about when we're going to come and we have to stop him from doing the avodah in order to put him into bedin, in order to kill him. Bet, right? 85b. Aval le'achayot. But if it's going to be to let him live, which means that the betin want to come and want to kill, that we need the kohen now in the middle in order to teach him zechut, afilu min mizbechi, which means that here, if we wanted to kill the kohen, there's a difference whether he's on the Mizbeach doing the service or he's going to start doing the service. But that means if he's going to start doing the service, we take him off. If he's already in the middle of the service, we leave him there. But what happens if I need this Kohen to testify for the zechut of somebody? In such a case that I needed the Kohen to testify for the zechut of somebody, even if he's in the middle of the service in the Beit HaMikdash, I take him down to be melamed zechut in order to save a person. So if mamash al mizbechi, I'm going to take him off in order to save somebody. I'm going to take him out. He's in the middle of the korban. I'm going to bring him down. Testify. We need to save this guy. And you're like, so then kavachomer. So says the Gemara, umazeh shasafek v'yesh mamash midvarav safek em mamash midvarav avodah dochet Shabbat. Says one second here. I have a safek whether his words are actually going to save the guy or not save the guy. So avodah, right, is going to be dochet Shabbat. So kavachomer pikuach nefesh is going to be dochet Shabbat. That was the Shita of Rabbi Akiva. Now we go to the next one, Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Elazar came and he said, Uma mila shehi 248 vedim sheba adam dochet Shabbat. What about Bri Milah? Bri Milah is one of the 248 membranes of the limbs of the human being. And it's going to be dochet Shabbat. Kavochomer, the entire body that is going to be dochet Shabbat. That was the Shita of Rabbi Elazar. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda Omer. Rabbi Yosef Rabbi Yehuda says, Shota tishmoru. Yachol, what does that mean? You have to keep the Shabbat. Yachol lakol. I would think that in any case you always have to keep the Shabbat. Tamnolmar ach et Shabbatot tishmonu. What is the ach? Ach is chilek. It comes to differentiate that sometimes you're not going to be shomer Shabbat. When? In the case of, right? Exactly. So minimizing. So it's going to differentiate that it's for pikuach nefesh. You don't need to do it. Yonatan ben Yosef Omer ki kodeshi lachem. Right? It says you have to keep the Shabbat, but it's kodeshi lachem. What does it mean lachem? Hi mesura biyadchem velo atem mesura biyadah. The Shabbat is given into your hands, but not that you're given into its hands, which means you're allowed to be mechalel Shabbat for pikuach nefesh because the Shabbat is given into your hands, not the opposite way around. Shimon ben Nasiya says another pasuk. Shamru b'nei Yisrael ta Shabbat. Amra Torah. The Torah says chalel Shabbat echad kedei sheyishmor Shabbatot arbeh. When it says Shamru b'nei Yisrael ta Shabbat, you're allowed to be mechalel Shabbat in order to keep a lot of Shabbatot. So by saving this guy and now he could keep a lot of Shabbatot, so therefore you're allowed to do so. Amar of Yudah Mashmuel says if you the name of Shmuel, if I was there, Hava Amina Dida different. I would have said that mine is better than everyone's. Why? It says V'chai Bahem velo shemut Bahem. Meaning he wasn't there, but if he was there, he would have said mine is actually better than ours. Why? V'chai Bahem velo shemut Bahem. You have to live when doing the mitzvot, and now that you're going to die by doing the mitzvot, so therefore pikuach nefesh is going to be doche all the yisurim of the Torah. So Amar Rava comes and he says lekulhu for everybody eat leu pircho midishmuel the let le pircha. Says for all the Mekorot, you have a question, right? Except for the one of Shemuel, right? The first one of what did he say here? Did it be Shmuel, right? Because what did Rabbi Shmuel say? He says that from the Bamba Machteret, that comes from the path underneath. It says Dilma Kedarava, maybe it's like Rava. Amar Rabbi Bazaraba says, "My tamad machteret." Why is the reasoning of a machteret? Chazaka shenadim yamin atzmo mimeno, which means there's a chazaka that a person will not give up his money, and therefore he's going to put his life in danger. Meaning, somebody comes with a gun to the guy's head and tells him, "You either give me all your money and everything, or not." Usually, people will not come and they will not give up their money. There's a chazaka. A person, the money is so valuable to the person. He's worked so hard for it. He's so attached to it. He'll give up his life for it. He'll put his life in danger. So the Vahai made the yada the kayape. He says, 1 second, but the guy knows, right, that if he's going to reveal him, so he says to say, if he's going to be in his bamachteret, he already knows that he's going to be killed. And therefore the Torah says, so therefore he says, so therefore since he already knows that, right, what happens is that if somebody's going to come and he's going to come to kill, you should kill them before they kill you. So therefore safek minan, but that's only by for sure. What about a safek? So the Rabbi Akiva, right? Rabbi Akiva also, maybe it's like Abaye. Abaye says, remember, Rabbi Akiva says that we're trying to save somebody from death. So he says, maybe it's like Abaye. Abaye says, Masin le zuga de rabbanan, right? When a person comes and they used to go to the Yir Miklat or whatever it is, so they used to give a zug of the rabbanan, right? Yeah. Maybe it's like Abaye, but Abaye says, Masrina le zuga de rabbanan, right? What does that mean? Right, we're going to give him a zug of the Rabbanan. We're going to give him a group of Talmidei Chachamim in order to be Melamed Zechut. Leidain yesh mamash bidvarav, in order to actually come and bring him to the Bedin, which means to find out whether Be'emet there's something or not. Which means even though by a Kohen that he's serving in the Mizbeach, right, we should say just like Abaye, that 2 Talmidei Chachamim would come to listen to his words, right, and to see if there's Be'emet mamashut to his words or not. Okay, the ashkecham vaday, but this is all to do with vaday, which means that since these Talmidei Chachamim are listening first to the words of the Kohen, so for sure we're going to say that it's probably going to help. But safek min alam, but how do we know it's safek? Meaning the rabbis are coming, they're listening to the words of the Kohen. So hopefully, if the Kohen is being listened to and the rabbis are there listening, so it's probably going to be okay. But what about in a case where it's not like that? What about in a case where it's safek, whether it's going to help them or not? So whoever told you that it's going to help? The kulu ashkecham vaday, and all of them were only in a vaday. Safek minan, how we know in the case of safek that it's a doubt. So he says the Shmuel vaday lepicha, but for Shmuel that he says v'chai b'hem lo shimu b'hem, for sure doesn't have a question. So Amar Ravina veitem Rav Nachman Yitzchak, says Ravina and Zavi Rav Nachman Yitzchak, tava chada pilpel tacharifta mimlo tzana dekare. It's good, right? Yeah, for Shmuel. He says it's one got in charif, right? An entire sal, meaning, uno picante, right? One which is mamash harif, which is very spicy, is much better than an entire basket of full of other things. And so why? Because one good one is better. So here you had one good one. One of the that's much better than all the rest. So you had 20 different things, one after another. One of them that's strong. That's much better. Yes. So usually that's Rav Tanapali. Fine, Rav. Okay, fine. It says the Mishnah Peyah Mudbet. Chatat ve'ashav vaday mechaprim, right? It says over here like this: a korban chatat, which is a sin offering, or shav vaday, or a guilt offering, which is on us for sure. It's going to be a kapara. Mitav Yom Kippurim mechaprim teshuvah. Also, death in Kippur is also going to be a kapara, right? With teshuvah. Teshuvah mechaperet al averot kalot. Remember that teshuvah on itself is going to be a mechaper on averot kalot, on light averot. What are light averot? Let's say on positive commandments that they don't have any punishments. Ve'alot or negative commandments that they have lashes. Ve'alachamurot or on the strict ones. Hitolah, it's going to be tolah, right? Ad sheyavo yom kippurim mechaper, until Kippur comes, and then it's going to be mechaper. Okay, haomer. Imagine right now a person comes and he says, echta ve'eshuv, echta ve'eshuv. I'm going to sin and then I'm going to return. I'm going to sin and I'm going to return. So then it's not going to help them to do teshuvah. The person is going to say, no, I'm going to sin, but then we have Kippur. And Yom Kippur is not going to be mechaper. Sins which are in between us and Hashem, Yom Kippur mechaper. Kippur is going to be mechaper. But between interpersonal relationships between human beings, and Yom Kippur mechaper. Kippur is not going to be mechaber until he's going to ask for forgiveness from his friend. Tarash Elazar ben Azariah says Elazar ben Azariah, "Mikol chatotechem lifnei Hashem titaru." What does that mean? Averot sheben adam lamakom, only averot between one person and another person. Right? Yom Kippurim mechaper. Ben averot sheben adam lechavero, and Yom Kippurim mechaper sheyotzei lechavero. Amar Rabbi Kiva says Rabbi Kiva, Shechem Yisrael, how fortunate is Israel. Lifnei miatem mitarim. In front of who are you going to purify yourself from your sins? Who's purifying yourself? Your Father in heaven, I'm going to throw onto you pure waters, and then you're going to become pure. And it says, Mikveh Yisrael Hashem. The Mikveh Yisrael Hashem, right? Ma Mikveh Metaeret Tamim. Just like the Mikveh is going to be Metaeret Tamim, so too HaKadosh Baruch Hu is Metaeret Yisrael. So too HaKadosh Baruch Hu is going to be Metaeret et Yisrael. Fine. It says the Gemara, Hashem Vadai in, Hashem Talui lo. Only an Hashem Vadai yes, and Hashem Talui no. Hashem Vadai is for sure a guilt offering, but not an Hashem Talui. Veha kapara k'tiva. It's written in kapara, which means by an Hashem Talui, right? Where is it written, right? And that means what? Only an Hashem Vadai, but not an Hashem Talui. Hashem Talui, remember, an Hashem Vadai means a guilt offering that for sure you are obligated. And Hashem Talui means I'm not sure whether I'm obligated or not. So because of that, right, what he's trying to say here is that it's written kapara. So if it's written kapara, what does that mean, right? So he comes and he says, Hanach mechapre kapara gemura. This is going to be a kapara gemura. Hashem Talui eno mechaper kapara gemura. But Hashem Talui is not going to be mechaper kapara gemura, which means like this. When a person brings an Hashem Vadai, for sure it's a kapara. Why for sure is it going to be a kapara? Because he knows that he sinned, and therefore he gets an atonement. But when it's an Hashem Talui, which means that we're not sure whether he was atoned or not atoned, so therefore meaning that maybe he didn't do a davedado. So in such a case, he doesn't have the same the same remorse. He doesn't have so therefore, so it's not the same kapara. He doesn't have a kapura gemura. Second answer, right? Inami, another answer. Hanach in enachem mechaper kaparatan. Sham talui achem mechaper kaparatan. Which means that to do with an Hashem Vadai and a chatat, there's no other thing which is going to be mechaper. Amen. But an Hashem Talui, another one, is going to be mechaper, right? Amen. The Tanam was we learned from the Mishnah, Chayvei Chataot V'Shemot V'Dayin Shaval Lem Yippurim. When you have Chayvei Chataot V'Shemot, Amen. Yeshavu B'Borach V'Barach. Okay. When you have Chayvei Chataot V'Shemot V'Dayin, again we're talking about a Chatat and Hashem Vadai that it passed the Kippur. Chayavim. Amen. You're obligated to bring the Korban. And Hashemot Tluyim Patur. Okay. Amen. Which means that if you have a person who's Chayav and Hashem Talui, and then passes Kippur and he didn't bring it yet, he doesn't have to bring it on Hashem Talui because he already has his kapara. Okay? Next, 2 dots. Mitav Yom Kippurim mechaprim teshuvah. Mitav Yom Kippurim are going to be mechaper with the teshuvah. Amen. So now it says Mitav Yom Kippurim mechaprim teshuvah. So we just said that Mitav Yom Kippur are going to be mechaper with teshuvah. Ima tshuva in, that's one law. So it's only with the teshuvah it's going to be mechaper, but by itself, no. So name Aduluk Rebbe. So we're just going to say that this is not like Rebbe. The Tanya was learned on a brighter Rebbe Omer. Rebbe says, Al kol averot shebet Torah, and all the averot in the Torah, whether a person did teshuvah, whether he didn't do teshuvah, Yom Kippurim is going to be mechaper, except for porek ol, for somebody that's going to remove from themselves the yoke of heaven, mugale panim, right, bat Torah, or he's going to be megale panim bat Torah, right, which means that he's going to reveal, meaning he's going to come and he's going to be meiz panim against the Torah, right? Umefer berit basad, or he's going to be mefer the brit milah, yeah. So he says she'al, right? But it says on these cases, right? Imas teshuvah, if he did teshuvah, Yom Kippurim is going to be mechaper. Okay. V'im lo asa teshuvah, Yom Kippurim mechaper. But if he didn't do teshuvah, Yom Kippurim is not going to be mechaper. No. We're almost there. So if a person did teshuvah, so then Yom Kippurim is going to be mechaper. If a person didn't do teshuvah, and Yom Kippurim mechaper. So it says, "Guna afilu tema Rabbi." Even we're going to tell me it's Rabbi. Teshuvah by Yom Kippurim. Teshuvah needs Yom Kippur. Yom Kippurim no by teshuvah. But according to him, Yom Kippur does not need teshuvah. So basically, there's a machloket. Do you need teshuvah also for Kippur or not? Okay. Then we said teshuvah is mechaperet.
You're going to be forgiven everything.
Everything again, even if without doing teshuvah, right? No, but not lalach l'maseh. Yeah, teshuvah mechaperet al averot kalot. Yeah, nice try. It was a nice try. תשובה מכפרת על עבירות קלות, אבל לא על עשה ועל לא תעשה. So תשובה is going to be מכפר על עבירות קלות, על עשה ועל לא תעשה. השתד לא תעשה מכפרת על עשה מבית. So says the Gemara, on לא תעשה it's going to be מכפר. על המצוות עשה, you need to ask it. אבל רבי יהודה says, this is what we say, על עשה ועל לא תעשה שניתק לעשה. We're talking about a positive commandment or a negative commandment that can be fixed with a positive commandment. והלא תעשה גמור, לא, are you going to tell me לא תעשה גמור, no? So he says, we have a contradiction. אלו הן הקלות. What are הקלות? עשה ולא תעשה, positive and negative commandments. חוץ מלא תעשה, except for לא תישא. Because לא תישא is a special thing that if the person is going to swear falsely in the name of Hashem, there all the negative commandments is also going to be forgiven, except for lotisa. Lotisa is a special deed that's not going to be forgiven. So the Gemara says, no, it's lotisa v'chol damilat. It's lotisa and anything which is compared to it. And we continue tomorrow.